Hello, I'm going to try this again. I did just do a live on this subject, but the reception was so awful that I'm going to do a take two, and I've changed my internet connection. So let's hope this works better. And I apologize for those of you that were with me. Anyway, today we're going to talk about the pushy horse and leading the pushy horse. And we've all been there. We've all had a pushy horse that's dragged us around the place and walked over the top of us. And I always love a story that John Lyons used to tell. And he invited people to bring in their horses for a symposium he was taking. And this woman this tiny little woman brought in this great big warm blood, of course. Yeah. And as she's walking towards the center of the arena, leading this horse is like pulling her all over the place and walking over the top of her and screaming and yelling and carrying on. Anyway, she gets to the middle. John takes the horse and he says to her, "Oh, does this horse ever drag you around?" And she said, no. Yeah. He thought, well, that's unusual given what it's just done. And so he took the horse, and the horse immediately dragged John all the way to the other end of the arena. Anyway, so he picked himself up and dusted himself off and got back to the woman and said, "I thought you said this horse never drags you around." And she said, "Oh, no, I always let go." So, and we have all been there, I'm sure. So anyway, so what's the problem having a pushy horse? And you might just have a companion horse that spends its life in the paddock and you don't really have to handle it much. So perhaps it doesn't matter if it doesn't lead very well. But then again, the horse might get sick, the horse might have to go to the vet, the horse does have to have its feet trimmed and things like that. So it is really quite an important thing that the horse learns to lead well. It's quite a basic sort of one of the foundation training things that the horse needs to be able to do. And what does it mean for the rest of your training? So if you've got a horse that I was told the other day by somebody that the horse was great under saddle, but really bad on the ground. I had really bad ground manners. And I thought, that's interesting, because surely if you've got, if you're really great under the saddle, I would think you'd be pretty good on the ground first. And because mostly these things transfer. Anyway, I think that you will find if your horse doesn't lead well, it probably has a few other issues. Leading poorly is a symptom rather than a problem in itself, so it probably doesn't load on the trailer very well, and you can almost guarantee you've got a few issues under saddle. So those are some things. So what are the reasons that horses don't lead well? And the thing I hear more often than anything is that the horse is disrespectful or the horse is rude. So horses that is pushy, is rude, is disrespectful, and those are the most common things that come through when I ask people why they're getting these behaviors that they don't want. The horse is disrespectful. The other one is ignorant, and ignorant is a more interesting word. I would like to swap the word ignorant for untrained, and I think basically it means the same thing, but it's a lot less emotive. The word ignorant is quite emotive, and it's also, relates much better to a human than a horse, of course. So if we swap the word untrained, that changes our perspective, because we now have a reason that the horse is behaving the way it's behaving. If we say it's disrespectful, we have no reason for that, for its behavior. So we can't measure it. Is the horse less disrespectful today than he was yesterday? I don't know. How do you measure that? And if you can't measure it, you can't really improve it either. So if we say the horse is untrained, that means we've got something that we know is wrong, and we know we can solve that problem. We know we can train the horse. We know we can teach the horse what it needs to know to lead well. So that's what we're going to talk about. But this whole idea of turning things around is really important with your training, because, any of us sort of looked at the law of attraction, for example. Now, the law of attraction tells you that you get more of what you think about. So if you sit at home all day and worry about how low your bank balance is, your bank balance will get lower. You're thinking about what you don't have, and that is going to increase what you don't have, or certainly keep your brain focused on what you don't have. And it's the same with the training the horse. So if we look at disrespectful or pushy, we're focusing on the negative things about the horse rather than trying to address them. So let's turn it around and say, what isn't the horse doing that we want the horse to do? And that's a much more proactive position to take, because we can change that. So let's say the horse is pushing into you when you're leading. What is the horse doing that we don't want it to do? And how can we change that? So we know then, let's just imagine you and the horse is standing next to you, you're leading the horse is on your right, and the horse is walking into you. So we need to focus on the foot that we want to move. So what's happening now is the horse with its left front foot is stepping too close to you. So imagine a clock under the horse's chest. So right out in the front of you, there's a clock. If the horse is walking straight forward, its left front will be stepping to 12 o'clock. If the horse is stepping too close to you, its left front will be stepping to 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock, or if it's standing on your foot, probably 9 o'clock. Okay, but we've got a position on the clock that we want the horse to step, that's 12 o'clock. And we've got a position on the clock that the horse is currently stepping, let's say that's 10 o'clock. So now we've got a lesson plan. Now we've got something to teach and we've got a way to teach it, right? What we're going to do is we're going to put a bridle or a head collar on the horse, and we're going to teach the horse some shoulder control. Okay. So I'm going to talk next week a little bit about positive and negative reinforcement, and I'll break that down for you. But at the moment, I just want to say that if your horse already wears a bridle, I'd be inclined to teach this lesson in the bridle, because you'll get faster results, it'll be easier for you, and it'll be much easier for the horse. Because a horse that's learned to pull on a head collar, and it has learned to pull if it's been doing that for a while, or push on the head collar, has become desensitized to that head collar pressure. And I've found you need a lot more pressure in a head collar to untrain something like this and retrain something useful, which is move your shoulders, than you do in a bridle. So if your horse wears a bridle, then I would put the bridle on just to teach this lesson. Once the horse has established the softness and leads beautifully, then just slip the bridle off. But it's a great lesson to be able to teach when you're walking to and from the stable, so before and after you ride. It's one of those lessons that you can just teach anytime that you're handling the horse. Slip the bridle on. It only takes a minute. Just slip the bridle on. You'll have much better results. So what we're going to do is we're going to break it down to 1 foot. What we're going to do is move 1 foot. And for this lesson, the 1 foot we're going to move is the left front. So we've already got the clock under the horse's chest. And what we've established is we want that left front to be moving to 12 o'clock. If the left front moves to 11 o'clock, we need to ask the horse to move the left front to 12 o'clock, or even correct the horse perhaps to 1 o'clock and move it a little bit further over. And that's the aim. That's what we want to teach. So we've got the bridle on the horse. The first thing we're going to do is ask the horse to walk forward. So we might clack the horse to walk forward, and with a noise to make it clack. And the horse will walk forward. And then as soon as the horse steps to 11 o'clock instead of 12 o'clock, we're going to start to correct the horse. So what we're going to do is maybe turn and face the horse so that you move in towards the horse a little bit with your body language. Most horses, or some horses, will move out of your space then and step across to 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock with that left front. Other horses that have been desensitized to that sort of pressure they won't move because they don't know that cue yet. So that's fine. Then you can pick up some pressure on that rein because you're holding the rein, the bridle, you're holding the left rein, and then add that. So move across, walk in towards the horse. And if the horse doesn't step across to 1 o'clock, put some pressure on that left rein and ask the horse to step left. The horse will then step left, and you can release that pressure and praise the horse for stepping left. And walk on, and the horse is going to repeat that. The horse is going to make the same mistake again because that's what it's used to doing. And so you simply do exactly the same thing. So you turn towards the horse, walk in towards the horse, and thirdly, pick up some pressure on that rein to move the horse over. So the horse steps to 1 o'clock, you release the pressure, and you praise the horse. And this is a pattern. And horses are great pattern learners. You know, they learn all sorts of patterns we don't want them to know. But use that to your advantage. So this pattern is every time the horse, and after you've done this about 10 times, the horse is going to think, So every time I step to 10 o'clock, she moves me over to 1 o'clock. And that's a bit boring. Why don't I just stay here at 12 o'clock? And that is what the horse will do. It's also given you the start of shoulder control. So when you go to shoulder control and you're riding your horse, you go, hey, my horse already has left side shoulder control. So all you've got to do is the other side. So that's really handy. It's always good to try and kill two birds with one stone, I think, especially with the horse training. But the main thing I wanted to get across to you today was turning things around to be more positive. So look more positive by looking at what the horse isn't doing rather than looking at what the horse is doing wrong. Now, because it's sometimes very hard to fix what the horse is doing wrong, especially if we're making assumptions about why the horse is behaving the way the horse is, such as the horse is disrespectful. And that is an assumption. So if we're making those sorts of assumptions, it's often very difficult to correct that behavior. If we turn it around to say, what isn't the horse doing that I want the horse to do? So what cue is the horse not obeying? Then we can say, oh, okay, well, I know how to fix that. I've got a lesson plan for that. I'm going to teach that, and that will solve my problem. Okay, I will see you tomorrow with Throwback Thursday. Bye.